Ten Hag wants more from his Manchester United players, wanting them stars to prove it is not just a flash in the pan, and that form over the last couple of games is more of the quality that these players are going to give him for the rest of this season. I'm here with Jay. We're talking press conferences, we're talking Jay's opinion on stadium builds, and certain players that are coming back into the matchday squad will be assessed tomorrow in Mason Mount and Rasmus Højlund. Who would your starting lineup be? I'm going to get into Jay's opinions on all of this and everything else that has gone past over the last couple of days as well. We are looking ahead and looking forward to the Palace game. Ten Hag has said last season's 4-0 will not happen. Jay, welcome back to Forever United TV. Welcome back to the show, mate.
Greetings from a very hot and sunny Ireland.
Mate, it is crazy weather right now. Same here in Manchester.
Yeah, insane.
It is. It's madness. Please give the video a like as well, guys. Make sure you've subscribed as well. Let's get as many subscribers in on the video and as many likes as we possibly can. The schedule has been a bit mixed up with everything going on. I promise you it will be worth it, and all will be unveiled very, very soon. We are working on something behind the scenes at the moment. So, yeah, we're getting closer to it. It's just taking its time, and it's getting in the way of quite a bit of the content. But we are doing it for a greater good anyway. Jay, Ten Hag's been talking. Crystal Palace, first of all, obvious questions were asked. 4-0 last season. He sort of sidestepped that very, very smoothly by saying that won't happen again. Different circumstances last year. He was talking the injuries and the situation. I remember the game well. There was no Bruno. Johnny Evans was about 50% fit, playing a full 90 minutes. We were absolutely taken out by Palace. After what you've seen over the last couple of games, are you more confident going into this game? Because it's not an easy place for United to go. We've not got a great record at Selhurst Park.
Yeah, I certainly hope Lightning doesn't strike twice. Last time was it Olise, Mateta, and Mitchell. I think Olise got 2, and as you referenced, tough place to go. Selhurst Park, 5:30 on Friday. 10 goals in 2 games. I never thought we'd be saying that, but I digress. Selhurst Park. Palace haven't won a game yet. They've played 2, drawn 2 at home against us, irrespective of our recent matches. Those 10 goals, I think that puts a bit of gloss on the actual performance. I think Palace are going to be up for this, and Ten Hag and those players will not take Palace lightly. Prior to those, that 4-0 games were low scoring. So it was a 1-0 loss prior to that. Then we beat Palace 2 years ago. It was Rashford and Bruno scored in 2-1. It's going to be a very tight game. And as I always say, I'm repeating myself, I take a 1-0 right now, and I think Ten Hag would too. Should we draw or drop points against Palace on Sunday? I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be losing my rag in the post-match. It's Palace away, tough assignment, but I think it'll bring us all back down to earth. So anybody that got drunk on the emotion of the last 2 games, I think Saturday will be a sobering watch.
Yeah, I mean, this is a point. This is a point now where Ten Hag, in his tenure at Manchester United, can start to right the wrongs of before. Like, we're looking at Crystal Palace away. We shouldn't be looking at Crystal Palace away as that feared game, really. We've got a chance here, and Palace are in dreadful form, like you've just alluded to. Still not got a win yet this season. Below us in the league as well, fighting just on the outskirts of relegation. Had a desperate comeback with a goal that shouldn't have even stood against Leicester at weekend, Jay. And are not doing well. Obviously, Olise is not in the side. They're going to be missing some key players as well this weekend. I think a lot of United fans are sort of looking at Palace and going, yeah, a bit wary. Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's going to be a tough old game. It is. But isn't it time that we just started to just put these teams to bed and start turning these games into games that United should be winning? We've got everyone available, mate, that we need for this game.
Well, look, obviously Ten Hag now will be devoid of his perennial excuses of players not being fit. You've Palace, who usually turn up in a 3-4-3. Apart from Gahey in that back 3, Leroux and Klein seem to be the favourite right backs. The only thing I can think of is our old mucker, Dean Henderson, the man who for years for us, his mouth was writing checks his body can't cash. What if Dean Henderson activates Gigi Buffon's settings on Saturday and is just saving shots for fun? That would be my biggest fear, as he just rocks up and he just has a game of his life. And we've seen it happen before against former players, Adam.
Yes, we have, mate. We have. It's always that fear, isn't it? United not taking their chances. A former player coming back to bite us on the arse. But looking at what Manchester United have got going into this game, which I'll look back on them games that we've talked about where we've not done well in previous seasons at Palace, form and players in that front line who are in form. And we have got a selection dilemma going into it. Jay, I mean, he said today, Ten Hag, he will not rush Rasmus Højlund back. I've got no issue with that. I think we need to look after the younger players. Mason Mount may be available as well. But I've been asking the question ever since the game against Barnsley on Tuesday night. Obviously, Garnacho is now our leading goal scorer. He's got more assists than anybody this season. Rashford has got 3 and 2 now as well. On Saturday, Ahmad was the most, after that game, he was the player that has created more chances than anyone else in the league right now. Xerxes is finding his feet and linking up well and building partnerships. Who are you playing? Because I looked at this, and I've said it the other day, like, I won't even count. I'm obviously going to put Bruno in because Bruno is the captain, and he will come in. But I think everybody, the way we're playing, and this is something that we've not seen before, if we can continue this form, then nobody's place is safe in that front 4/5, is it? I mean, who would you go with, first of all, Jay, in that front line? The 3 in the front, who are you going for?
Look, Adam, like, I love now the fact that we have, as fans, selection dilemmas, because normally we don't. We're normally attacking. We know what he's going to pick for the game starts. Ahmed picks himself. Right wing, as you said, he's got more assists and attempts on goal than any other player in the league. So Ahmed picks himself. Xerxes got to start. He's a big, strong centre forward, great holds the ball up, and he's got to go up against Gahey. I think it would be remiss of Ten Hag if he drops Xerxes and puts Rashford up front against the Gahey, just to shoehorn Garnacho in on the left hand side. That would be a huge mistake. You don't want to drop Garnacho, obviously, but he's going to start on the bench because we know full well Rashford would have started. 3 goals in 2 games, he's got to start. We've obviously been critical of Rashford, and we hope now this will become the genesis of a purple patch. So the front 3, Ahmed, Xerxes, and Rashford. Then the dilemma then goes into the midfield. Would he, Adam, and I'm going to say it to everyone in the live chat, would he be swayed by recency bias and actually start Eriksen? I certainly hope not, because it's got to be, for me, Casemiro and Orgate. And as we were discussing ourselves off air, he's like the player that we haven't had since Ander Herrera.
Yes, he has. I think he definitely starts for me, 100%. He talked about making a decision on Rasmus Højlund and Mason Mount tomorrow. He's also been talking about Anthony and his performance and what he's done. Obviously, he was going to be asked. It's an obvious question to be asked in a press conference by the media. And that is, was you impressed with Anthony's performance? Has he given himself a chance? And you got the obvious response from Ten Hag, which was, look, he's done everything he possibly can. He has to keep doing that and keep showing us that he is the player to come in when we need someone in that position on the right-hand side. But like you said there, it is a rarity, Jay, that we've actually got so many players that are actually in form right now in all of our front line, and Eriksen just adding that little bit of something else there, just to remind Ten Hag that there is other players in this squad as well, besides Bruno, besides Casemiro, besides Kobbie Mainoo, because Mainoo and Martinez not been in that side at weekend. That was obviously on Tuesday night against Barnsley. That was good that they are fully rested. So really, I look at this and I go, Man United are in a really good position right now, and we are selection dilemma-wise in a position where Ten Hag has never been. He hasn't been in this position. And to that matter, do we actually now, are we going to see Ten Hag football? Are we going to see what we were hoping to see 2 years ago in terms of a style of play now, Jay?
I haven't seen Ten Hag football since he managed Ajax in his Champions League game that against Spurs all those years ago. It's the last time I saw Ten Hag football. We're still waiting for it. We've seen fleeting glances of it, but we haven't seen the full finished product. What a better place to start Ten Hag football than London 5:30 on Saturday night. But I digress. Like, he's up against a 3-4-3. Legs in midfield against the core. I think the core has been, for me, the outstanding midfielder this season thus far with Crystal Palace, even 4 games. So he's got to match the core with the likes of Casemiro and Orgata. And as you alluded to, Orgata's got to start. So I can't see Eriksen be shoehorned in. Definitely not. Regarding Menu, I think everyone's in agreement. Menu does lose his legs after 70 minutes. Is there an issue there with his VO2 max or lactic threshold, which obviously can be developed? So I would rather Menu come off the bench for Casemiro when he tires. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not bothered about any one of them players being out of the side. Apart from there's only definites for me right now. Agate and the back four. The keeper I would still debate as well, but everyone else's position in that team, and I include Bruno's in this as well, and all the forward players, Jay, all of them are up for grabs. I know that Agate is the best at what he does in that position, and no one else has proved otherwise this season. Mainu has been hot and cold, so could Bruno drop into that position? I've said that before. He can comfortably play 8. If you wanted to put Xerxes in at 10, you could have Rashford in at 9, you could have Ahmad, you could have Garnacho either side of them. If Hoyland's on the bench, he could come on for Rashford later on and be that number 9. There is umpteen different positions up for grabs right now, and no one is safe apart from, I think, the back. Let's just call them the back 6, including the goalkeeper. I think they're set. Everything else in the team, it's open for me, Jay. And I feel like Ten Hag now can play in a couple of different ways if he wants to. He can attack it. And like you said there, 3-4-3 in terms of what's coming at us from Palace, I feel is not really a problem with the options that we've got there. If Mason Mount's on the bench, you've got legs to bring on as well. So really, you're looking at it and you're going, there is zero excuse. And if there was a time to beat Palace and put this voodoo to bed, it's this Saturday evening, 100%.
Yeah, obviously time is now. If you look at the preferred 4, it's Mitchell, Decore, Wharton, and Munoz. And as I alluded to, Decore I thought he's been excellent thus far. Munoz is hot and cold. And Mitchell and Wharton, they're what I would call your atypical journeyman Premiership players. So there's nothing in that midfield that United should fear. And as I said, apart from Gahey, their standard physical centre-back, these players should not be going into this game with any shred of fear based on the last 2 games. And obviously, also in his pre-match press conference, he alluded to asking the more senior pros of that club to step up and show some leadership. Mm-hmm. Who do you think, Adam, and everyone that I chat, need to step up on Saturday?
Well, personally, for me, when he was talking about this, and this was before the press conference, and this is why I've led him with this story in terms of prove yourselves. Like, you're not just a flash in the pan. Before Jay, this team would have 2 or 3 wins, and they'd think that was enough just to see him over for a while. They need to have the same mentality every single game. It needs to be week in, week out games being played and performed at the level that we've seen over the last couple of games. Now, yes, Southampton for 60 minutes and all of the Barnsley game against the League One side is not much to go off in terms of proving yourself or proving your worth. You'd expect to win them games. But can you win the games comfortably like we have done? That's what I think it is, because United are always on the edge. There's always one goal in it. Now, the last couple of games, we've been sat there with our feet up going into the last 20 minutes, Jay, thinking that this is an absolute rarity with United, and I'll take more of this, please, if it's coming. But I think that's the message from Ten Hag. In terms of players, obviously, it's your senior players. It's your senior players. It will be your Marcus Rashfords. It will be your Bruno Fernandes players. These are the ones that need to prove it again and again, because the younger players coming in, they're going to hit form, they're going to go out of form, they're still finding their way. But these are the players, and I've said this before, I've not said it in the same sort of tone, because Bruno and Rashford are Ten Hag's plan A. They will usually pull something out of the bag and make something happen, and therefore make the game easier for everyone else. And it looks like we've got a style of play. I want to see them players contributing to the team and keeping this form going, setting the example. So they're the 2 that I would pick out. Is there any that you would pick out on them, Jay?
Just reference Bruno there. Like, Bruno came on, now again, albeit against League One opposition, came on there and assisted 2 goals. So maybe every so often, it'd be no harm if Bruno started on the bench, where Bruno then can analyse for himself where are the passing lanes, where are the frailties in the opposition midfield, and when I go on the pitch, what can I exploit? Because the Bruno that we've seen, the latter end of last season and this season thus far, has been the head of chicken, Bruno, where he lacks poise, he lacks composure. But what we saw on Tuesday night, he came on and it was the Bruno that percentage we saw on the Solskjaer, where he's almost playing in that Pirlo role, getting the ball, looking up, playing a pass, as opposed to doing his normal running around, chasing blind alleys, and playing the 40-yard Hollywood pass just for the cameras. So I would not be adverse to going forward if Bruno was rotated in and out. Now, I'm probably in the live chat are going to slaughter me for that, but just how I feel.
Let's get into the chat actually on this one in terms of the players that we're looking to actually bring in. But there is, first of all, Free Baindir has got a question. Jay, Agate, Bruno, Mainu, Casemiro are midfield choices, but one has to be on the bench. Who are you choosing? So out of them 4 players, question for you, Jay, is Agate, Bruno, Mainu and Casemiro, who is on the bench?
Predicated on the last 4 games, I'm picking Mainu. I don't think right now he has the lung capacity to last 90 minutes.
Yes. Don't agree totally with his politics, but I do enjoy Jay, says Liam. That's a nice one. How come he play Casemiro can't run and can't pass? He can. That's harsh. Kieran says, we play 4-3-3 or 4-2-4. We can counter their midfield tactics and get through their defence. When you've got players in confidence, every single system and formation looks well. It's all about mentality and being able to handle when we go behind. And it will be interesting because these 2 games that we've just played, Jay, fall into the category of plan A working because we've scored the first goal. It's when we go behind, I think that's when everyone's looking to actually see what Manchester United can do. What can we actually provide on that pitch, player by player, when the chips are down? I think that's the question that a lot of United fans want answering. And I think until we see a comeback or a reaction from Plan A going out the window and we needing to do something different, I still think there's going to be that doubt in a lot of the fan base's mindset with Manchester United, Jay.
Well, if you look at a player like Eze, he's now somebody like chat will know because I've forgotten the stat. His XG is one of the highest in Premiership. He should have 3 or 4 goals by now. So we go a goal down to possibly Eze. Then you're going to see away from home, hostile home crowd. Then you're going to see what these players are made of. Because when we go a goal down, and Bruno especially, his head just pops off, and the head is chicken replaces him. And our players, when go a goal down, I think they have weak mentality. But after what we saw when Orgade came on, even against Southampton, you can see when he's on the sideline before he came on, you can see his body language, his facial expressions like, I got this. So I think with a player like Orgade, when he gets embedded that squad properly, I think he would be a natural leader for that midfield.
Yes, I do agree on that one. Kaz says, what is Jay drinking? We need to know what you're drinking, Jay.
So it's just my friend's cup and 3 espressos.
3 espressos. Oh my God, Jay's leaving us in a minute because he's got some
I got to go and shower 10, 11-year-olds next.
Before you do go, Jay, I want to get your opinion on the topic that I was talking about earlier on this morning. Manchester United's vision for a brand new stadium / redeveloping Old Trafford. With the news that's come out that Old Trafford may not be sort of redeveloped into a 30,000 seater stadium like first thought now, if a new stadium for the first team is built next to it. If there is no Old Trafford at all, where are you at with this debate right now?
It depends what hat you wear. Do you wear your romantic Old Trafford hat, bombed during World War II, rebuilt, redeveloped in the 60s? Like I'm going over since the 80s. The stadium in the 80s, vis-a-vis now, it's pretty much unrecognizable. So you're from Manchester. You grew up in Manchester, so you've seen the development. The stadium now, Adam, it's from 20, 30 years ago. It's completely different.
It is.
But there's still that romantic link from people my age to the old stadium, even though it's gone through its general guises. I would hate to see a new stadium being built. I know around Manchester, it's a very industrial area around Trafford. It's a very poor match experience. So I would not like to see Old Trafford demolished and rebuilt. It's the romantic in me. I have to park any notion of football has moved on or any notion of Sir Jim's 1.3 million investment and yada, yada, yada. It's just the sheer romantic in me, Adam. I'd hate to see that stadium knocked down and be rebuilt. I'd like to see that stadium being redeveloped. Now, Adam, obviously you know far more about me than what happens with local council and the Salford Council. So obviously there's major issues. The railway track behind the south stand, you can't touch that really. They're not going to rebuild the railway track. You can't build over railway track because it's going to cost a couple of million extra. Then, so around the area, Adam, there's obviously a lot of you've got the residents committees that they're going to react. So it's a catch-22. Again, I just had this romantic in me that I'd hate to see that stadium knocked. I'd hate it. It'd be like a death knell. It wouldn't be Old Trafford anymore for me. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I've already given my opinion. I think the new stadium is the way forward. Difficult for me to see Old Trafford knocked down. I had this sort of vision in my head of a 30,000-seater Old Trafford still being there for the youth team and the women to play on. And now it's sort of like playing on my heartstrings a little bit in terms of it being completely demolished. I understand you could take bits of Old Trafford and integrate it into the new stadium, and that may soften the blow. But it was an interesting one what Gary Neville said. It's like the Old Trafford we know now is not even 20 years old. The Old Trafford that people are thinking about is in their heads, and it will always be in their heads because the famous Old Trafford for the glory years of Manchester United and what the foundation was built on was way, way, way in the past. And over the last 20 years, Manchester United has only just been developed. So his argument was that this stadium now only really in its current form has got about 2 decades worth of history. Is it that bad? I can kind of understand where he's going with that. And that for me says, when Gary Neville's saying that, he is definitely speaking for the rest of that so-called task force in pushing this through to get a brand new stadium, I feel, because he's trying to sort of dampen down the thought like you've got there, Jay, like the historical side of things. But, I mean, what do you see on that and what Neville says? Can you understand where he's coming from with it?
For me, Gary Neville, now I love Gary Neville, the player, he's a good pundit, but Gary Neville has become a football politician. And that is the answer you will get from a member of parliament in Westminster. That's the kind of answer, because Gary Neville, he doesn't want to fall out with diehard fans. He doesn't want to fall out with people in Manchester, obviously. But end of the day, Gary Neville is part of a task force, and they have their own agenda. So Gary Neville, I think, in that comment there, and you alluded to it, he's trying to soften the blow, half sit in defence, and appease everybody. That's my thought on his statement.
Yeah, it is. Listen, Jake, really appreciate you coming on. I know you've got to get off and get over to the kids' football side and get coaching. So thank you very much, Jay, for coming on. We'll say goodbye to you there, mate. Any last words before you shoot off, Jay?
Saturday, I think we'll win 2-1, and Eze will score first. See you on Saturday. Good night, guys.
Absolute legend. Cheers for that,
Bye.
Jay. And that is Jay all done and dusted with us there. He's going with a 2-1 win for Manchester United. I'm taking it. I am absolutely taking it. I'm just going to reposition. Look at that magic there. Did you see that moonwalk across the studio floor there? Absolute legend. Thanks for that, Jay. And I'm going to come to the chat now and see what you guys are saying regarding this game at weekend. And if you have got a thought on the stadium, we didn't get through many questions or answers from the chat this morning on the stadium situation. So please do get into that right now and let me know what you feel. Director of Football says, elite managers know how to get the best out of their players and mitigate their weaknesses. Fans lost legs finished. Erik ten Hag needs to start to manage and stop hiding behind scapegoating players. Interesting comments from Emmanuel Petit on TalkSport earlier on, saying that these players are actually hiding behind the manager. And he didn't so much say hiding behind the failures of the manager, but the pressure that's on Erik ten Hag, the players actually hiding behind ten Hag's situation more than the manager itself, in that the limelight is all on the manager and they're hiding away behind him rather than stepping up and helping him. I mean, that's coming from a former Premier League player, so straight away you look at that and you go, there is something in that. I feel from Emmanuel Petit a little bit, because the players did disappear. Like Ten Hag, we can argue all we want. Like, we all know how we feel about him. We all know he has his limits, but when the players don't turn up, it's hard to even get going again. And I feel like that was the problem. And I've said this before, Ten Hag, with everybody on song, with everybody feeling like they're part of it. And interesting, like we've talked about Anthony quite a lot over the last couple of days. And it's quite relevant because it feels like Anthony would come on and do something against Crystal Palace now. Will he give him that chance to say, yeah, there's your reward, Anthony? Anthony, in his right mind, will know that he isn't first choice and he won't be starting against Crystal Palace. But will Anthony take 15 or 20 minutes against Palace? Definitely he will, because he'll feel like that 20 minutes might get him more minutes against 20. And because he's had the full 90 minutes against Barnsley and done his job, and Ten Hag's come out and praised him in the press conference today, he'll feel like he is part of something. And when all these players feel like they are involved, even the squad players right down the list like Eriksen was last season, who we thought would be talking about Eriksen and Anthony and their involvement against Palace? Like last season, that wasn't even a conversation for Manchester United. It was simply down to what Ten Hag thought was going to be his best team that were going to actually give him effort on the pitch. And where the effort was there was no time to implement any tactics. There was no game plan. There was no system. And we know everything that was wrong with Manchester United last season. When it came to a big game like City in the FA Cup or Liverpool in the FA Cup, when these players actually knew that they had to be stand up and be counted, then they turned up. And miraculously, they turned up and actually put in a performance. So, really, there is parts of that Emmanuel Petit statement about the players hiding behind Ten Hag that are actually true. And I feel like that is something that we do need to watch out for. When Ten Hag says, before the press conference today, and which is why I've gone in on what I've said regarding Ten Hag and asking these players, demanding more from these players, it's that. It's like, yes, that was all right. And you can all walk away happy. You've had a full week off with no pressure on you. Everyone's just singing the praises of every single player and the excitement that Man United have scored 10 goals. That's great. You've had a fantastic week. You need a fantastic month. You need a fantastic 2 months. And then people will start talking about you in the way that you want them to. And you're not coming out like certain players are, bitching and moaning their own little statements within their own representation and stuff. Take control of your situation as a player yourself. If you give everything, then no one will come down on you. No one will slag you off or say that you're not worth being at the football club. Give absolutely everything that you've got, and the manager might pick you. If he doesn't, then you've got every right to go in on the manager. And I feel like that wasn't happening last season. And I think United now are in a position where this can be built on. And I think momentum can be built from within the squad. And just to see Mount and Højlund back in that matchday squad this weekend will be massive for not just Ten Hag, for the travelling fans there, because they'll go there in good voice after a fantastic week. They'll be up for it, they'll be buoyant, and they will feel like there is a connection with the players again. Ten Hag did build a connection in that first season he had. He built a connection between the fans and the players again. It felt like I was there home and away every game. Like it felt like there was a connection with the players again, and it completely lost last season. It was like the players knew it was second season syndrome time and the tools were going to be downed, and again the manager was going to be gone. Well, he's not gone now, and the circumstances are completely different with what's above Ten Hag. And the fact that these big guns are backing Ten Hag, maybe it will force the players into doing more. And Ten Hag can come out confidently in press conferences, in interviews, and say he wants more from these players. That, I feel, is now the different situation that we're in, where we didn't have that last season at all. United will be in the brand new white kit this weekend, by the way. Their new white shirts with the red and black stripe, no badge one. So something to look forward to there. Let's hope we can kickstart the new white shirts season with a win against Crystal Palace. Just to go through the quote on what Ten Hag said regarding last season's 4-0 drubbing at Selhurst Park. It was Ten Hag on last season's game at Palace. It was a 4-0 totally deserved win for Palace, but Saturday will be different. I'm not comparing the situations. Back then, you had to find 11 players to build a team. Today, it's different. Look, that game is probably the one time I would say Ten Hag has probably got every right to say the injuries did hamper us a little bit. And you all know I'm not having the injury shit, and him going on about injuries did curtailing Manchester United's season last season. But that game in particular, he can definitely say that Manchester United were up shit creek without a paddle when it came to players available. Obviously, we had Johnny Evans playing. He's barely fit. He shouldn't have played He shouldn't have played a half of football, let alone a full 90 minutes. We were tore apart. Like, Casemiro was a disgrace. We didn't have Bruno Fernandes. Rasmus Højlund looked lost. No one really cared. It was like, you guys go out and play because I've got no one else. And then players that were going on and playing were like, really? You want us to give everything now? And I know you've got that professionalism that you should expect from a player every single time he goes out on the pitch. And when you walk out wearing that United shirt, you should wear it with pride. I sound like bleeding Roy Keane right now, but obviously, Ten Hag last season lost control of that dressing room. He lost control of his squad. And these players, I am fully convinced a lot of these players thought Ten Hag would have been out of the door and gone. Absolutely gone. I'm convinced that they would have thought that this was it for Ten Hag. And do you know what? I now look at it and I feel like Manchester United are in a position where the manager has got full control back and the players are having to listen. The players are having to take note from Ten Hag, and they're having to start performing better again. I mean, there's a lot of players here that are going to be leaving Manchester United at the end of this season, and they're going to want to find clubs as well. So that's another situation that's come about where players now know they're leaving Manchester United are actually going to have to start performing if they want to find another club. And you look at the likes of Martial right now, like only just signing for AK Athens. It's an absolute farce. And people were lauding this man like he was the saviour for Manchester United. And he was actually mistreated at the football club. I didn't get the respect he deserved at Manchester. Get out of my face, fly. Bleeding, pestering sod. Anyway. But back to Martial there. It just goes to show, like, no other club wants them. And if there's a lesson to be learned from players leaving this summer, it's like, yeah, you can think that this contract is great and all this money that you're getting from Manchester United is fantastic and all of that, but you have to look at what happens past it. And I think a lot of these players are going to have to start performing simply because they're going to need another club at the end of the season. And that money train doesn't continue forever. It doesn't. Adam and Jay, don't they have enough space for a new stadium without getting rid of the current war zone? Yep, they do. But the question was that we wanted to build a sort of campus around Old Trafford that housed the under-21s and the women's team as well. And Manchester United now are thinking that they're going to build a 15,000-seater stadium, brand new, next to the new stadium, which will house the under-21s and the women's team. They don't feel like a 30,000-seater stadium is needed when it comes to housing a women's game. The fact that only one stand will be open for the game against West Ham in the opening game of the WSL this Saturday or Sunday, I think it is, tells them that they really don't need to be building a 30,000-seater stadium. And to save money, they should just knock Old Trafford completely down, rebuild another ground in its place, which holds 15,000, a completely new stadium just for the women and the under-21s team, 15,000-seater stadium. Let me know on that one as well, guys. Yaz in the chat says, when all other teams have built a new stadium, it is important we have the best stadium in the country so we can compete with other teams and give the fans a better experience. Knock it down, create new memories, says Quello. A lot of people on that same one, on that same tune. It is just a case of like, look, we're going to have forgotten about the stadium in a year down the line after the new one's been built. Everyone's going to be making them new memories, like people says. So, yeah, you've got to look at it and say it's all going to be better in time. In terms of people worried about Old Trafford, you're always going to remember what it was. You don't have to look at it to remember what it was like. And that's the thing, I feel. I think that's what you've got to take into consideration. We have to move with the times. We cannot keep getting left behind. Everybody wants Manchester United to move forward. Like, it is one of the most uncomfortable stadiums on the planet. It really is. And I don't feel like Manchester United can afford to fall behind. And the match day revenues will go up as well. Quickly, a few more quotes from Ten Hag. We have so many games in this block to cover, so very, very happy we have to make the final call. Højlund and Mount did a couple of trainings, and we have to see how they recover, and tomorrow they will make the final call. And so, I think it's smart, isn't it? Ten Hag talking about Højlund and Mason Mount there as well. On Rashford, Ten Hag has said also, it's very good to see Marcus Rashford scoring again. Goal scorers need that confidence, and there are now several players who have scored, and that's always good for the team. Of course it is. On Anthony, like we were discussing before, his quotes were, every player has to react like that. You have to work hard, perform, earn the right to play, and take your chance when the moment comes. The manager can only pick 11 players and make 5 changes. So you have to make sure you're among the 16 players in every game, i.e. substitutions is what he's talking about with his 5 changes. So make sure that you're part of the 16 is what he's saying. He wants more from training. He wants more from these players in training. He wants them to show him that they are willing to go the extra yard. I still don't believe that everything happens in training. I feel like it has to be earned on the pitch. I think that's where everything needs to be judged. I feel like some players don't train as well as others, but I feel like you should give them the chance still on the pitch just to see what they've got. And if they prove their worth on the pitch, that's where it counts. It's the mentality monsters. They're the ones that get you the wins. They're the ones that get you over the line. The heavy trainers, there's no pressure in training. There's pressure for against your teammates and trying to get into the team on a match day squad, like Ten Hag said, but it's a completely different pressure to what happens on the pitch. And I feel like Manchester United I think they're a victim of that. And I think under Ten Hag we have been as well. So I think now that he's got more players, and now that he's actually got players that are performing and giving him more on the pitch, maybe he'll look at that also. And that's what he said about Anthony there. Take advantage of the opportunities you get. Do what you've got to in training. Don't do a Jadon Sancho. Don't start kicking up a stink. Be on board with the manager's instructions. Just go along, do what you can. And then when you get that chance, that's when you need to show the manager that you've got it upstairs and you've got it on the pitch as well. So I feel like that was the message to Anthony in that press conference. It's like, well done, let's do it again. Marcus Rashford, well done. Couple of good games against poor teams. Let's do it again. Let's get a goal in a tough game away at Palace. Let's get into that game against FC20 and get that done as well. I feel like everything is falling into place for him right now, but we're all aware of what can happen when it comes to Manchester United. 1 goal conceded first. We may see that different animal all over again. Cuban says, Ten Hag challenges the players. Well, I'm challenging him. Show me more as a manager. I agree. He's got to show more. And it's not just the players. It is Ten Hag as well that does need to do more. And he needs to think of something different that gets more out of these players, because it's not always what we've seen over the last 2 games. We are going to get tougher opposition. He is going to have to adapt his game considerably, and we are going to need a lot more out of players that Ten Hag hasn't usually used a lot, because he is starting to rotate. And hopefully, again, we'll see it in the game at Palace on Saturday evening. We will have a watch-along for the Palace game. Don't forget, guys, don't miss out on that one. We will be getting our TIFO team out again with more extras involved in the watch-along as well. A few more different upgrades on the watch-along platform for you this Saturday, guys, so please do tune in for that one. United training intensity should be lower when the season starts to protect players' bodies. Heavy training is for pre-season. Not sure why Erik Ten Hag puts so much stock on training performances. This is the way he is. And again, you can talk about how well the players are doing in training all you want. No one cares about it. All anyone cares about is what they've seen over the last couple of games, which is United freely scoring goals, players having fun, players enjoying the football, and the crowd enjoying themselves as well. That's all you need to do. That's it. Just make sure that the players are ready and know what they're doing in the game. Doesn't matter about the intensity in training. Doesn't matter about who wins the 5-a-side game in training or whatever that is. It only matters what happens on the pitch. And that is something that Ten Hag needs to get right. And he has started well after this international break. And hopefully, I am quietly confident that United will get the win. I'm thinking like a 3-1 against Crystal Palace. Just seeing the players, and there's so many players that are in form in that front line that you got to be confident. All 4 of them players. I mean, you only look at the contributions, let's just say to the 5. Like Zirk saying what he's doing right now, just in his link-up play. You've got Ahmad creating all the chances. You've got Garnacho and Rashford scoring goals. You've got Bruno, the assist monster. He's had a game and a bit, and he's still got 3 assists in them games. They're all in form. You've got Agassi who's finding his feet. The number 8 role is the one where I'm a little bit concerned. Who goes in there? What's happening with Manu and things like that? I feel like that's the only concerning spot that we've got right now. But still, the defence, happy, 2 clean sheets. Still it. Martinez, like both rested over the week. Dalot, firing. Mazraoui, brilliant. Really happy with where Manchester United's team is at. There is a couple of positions here and there, like the number 8, the goalkeeper for me, still not 100% confident in, but everyone else is really in great form. And I just feel like that is what's going to carry us. We can't all surely fall off again at once as a United team. 1 or 2 players might not hit their straps like they have over the last week, but surely it can't be the whole bleeding team that does it. I mean, come on. No, I'm not having it. So, yeah, I'm confident that there is a 3-1 win there for Manchester United. I think Palace will score, but I think United should be in control of the game. Like Jay was saying then, like Palace's team with a few players missing as well, the key players not there from last season. Yeah, I disagree with Jay when he was talking about Wharton being that typical Premier League journeyman player. I mean, he's only just burst on the scene after signing from Blackburn last year, and he is a good player. I think United should have more than enough to handle him in midfield. Up front, I think the extra protection from Agate, now he is fully settled in. I think that works well for Manchester United. Extra defensive solidarity there as well. I think that is key for United. And the goals. The goals are everything. The big thing that United have had before is, yes, we've been a lot more solid in shape. Yes, we've been a lot more... we've not been conceding as many shots. We're harder to play against and get through, but we haven't been scoring goals. We're now scoring goals, and that's the big thing. Let's get some more of your chat and getting into this big time now, so get your comments in, everybody. My challenge to the Bruno fans is to watch his off-the-ball positioning. Occasionally, Cams don't take standing positions in between the opposition's centre-backs. It's or in their own number 9's shadow. He's got a free roll and he's had 3 assists in the last 2 games. That's my challenge back to you. And I get what you're saying, but while the numbers are there, he is going to be in that team. Sponge 10, love the confidence, but we've shown nothing against Prem opposition. Fingers crossed we don't go 1 behind against Crystal Palace. Yes. Question, says Gurray. What did Ten Hag have to say in the presser, mate? I just told you. I went through the whole list of what he said about Rasmus and Mason Mount, about Rashford, about Antony, about Palace last season. Always great, just trying to take the mick out of mess. Do I need to take his mug away? Other mods, just let me know. Always Gray been asleep for the last 5 minutes. I don't know. Actually, Gray might have been having cake. No, yeah, I'm only joking. Imagine Xerxes taking the chances he's had so far. That's like 4 goals. Positive signs on the goal front. Yes. I like it. Talking cake. Skiliano. Bruno is an enigma. Can be brilliant, but he's terrible at ball retention, whilst no other player has his creativity. His spot in the team is safe. The ball retention side of thing is over-egged, I think, with Bruno Fernandes. I think it is completely over-egged and people go into it too much. Look, if United are firing on all cylinders and they were getting the same results in a few weeks' time and Bruno's misplay... oh, Jesus, came out of nowhere. And Bruno's misplacing passes still, and United are still winning comfortably because he's contributed to the game. No one's even bringing it up. It's because United are so poor that we highlight players' flaws even more. And I think that's a problem that we have got within this fan base. We do need a scapegoat, don't we? Let's see. Bless you. Thank you, everybody. I agree. Did you see the explosion bench press clip and the Rasmus jumping long jump as a frog? Does not look healthy or optimal in my book. Quite the opposite. uploaded around 2 weeks ago, says Mike. In terms of the training methods that United, I think, is going into there, the strength training and stuff. By the way, everybody, we have gone a bit earlier today. If anyone is just joining us right now at the normal 6:30 time, hello. Please give the video a like. Please make sure you've hit that subscribe button. We're on the way to 60k. We are just under 1,200 subscribers away from that magical 60k mark. So please do keep on subscribing, hitting that bell notification button as well to make sure you miss none of the content. Important as well that you put a like on the video. We are just about to creep over that 150 like mark. We're early tonight because there's football on. I'm going to start doing a few more earlier shows while the football's on because we all want to watch the football. The whole schedule has been messed up with early kickoffs, Champions League on a Tuesday, Wednesday and a Thursday, Europa League on a Thursday and on a Wednesday, with the Carabao Cup and the Champions League in the same bleeding night. So this season it's a bit mental. So when we have these mad midweeks on, so say Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to be doing the odd like 6 o'clock show as well, just to sort of fit it in so we can all watch the football because there's just too much to watch. And we all need to get our football fix. I know that. I do. And I know you guys do as well. So we're getting all of the nitty-gritty and the talking out of the way. And then we're moving forward with the football as well. Thank you, everybody who has been on the show with us. Best place. Best Palace and Southampton, and all 5 leagues are coming home. So beat, you meant there, Stu, I think. Pap says the team is better compared to last season, but I'll judge the progress after 10 league games, after we have a larger sample size. I think everything is going to be looked at after that 3rd international break in November. When we come back from that and then the games are thick and fast and we're leading into December, I think we'll know. I think we'll know where Manchester United are at, and I think we'll know where Ten Hag is with his current squad, and if he's got them on board. I think that's the moment there. 2 things we love, a scapegoat and a hero. The hero, normally a teenager who burst onto the scene. That's why I made a point about that menu video the other day. Go watch that back in the channel, guys. Make sure you go and get your comments on that menu one. I think United's new approach, and Ten Hag alluded to this as well in his press conference regarding Rasmus Højlund and not rushing him back. There's no need to rush him back anymore. We have players in all positions, and we don't need to be bringing players back or rushing them back and making the situation worse. It was the same with Martinez. It's the same with Rasmus Højlund. Luke Shaw. There's no need for Luke Shaw. Let him recover. Again, Luke Shaw questions are flying around in the press conference today. Look, at the end of the day, Luke Shaw will be ready when Luke Shaw's ready. He is one of them different cases when it comes to injuries. But like I've said before, United don't need to be relying on Luke Shaw now. We've got other players there that can do Luke Shaw's job. So let him just take his sweet little merry time wherever he wants to. Just make sure he's right. Don't rush him back. I think we just looked at players and said they need to be back in the side. So as soon as they're half available, they're back in. We can't be thinking like that anymore. I think it's important that Manchester United do look after the players better, especially the young players. And that's why I did that video on Manu the other day. And I think it's important that we remember that. Another international break coming up. Pain in the Arsenal, says Nick. I know. After the Villa game, we've got another one. Then we come back, another 7 games. And then we've got another one after that. And then that's it. So 2 more international breaks to go this calendar year. And then it's like 3 months straight full of football. So that's when it really gets interesting. And I think, like I said, after the November international break, that's when we will know. That's when we will know. In the chat, actually, let me know in the chat, are there any members or season ticket holders in the chat tonight? And are you going to fill out that email which is coming your way tomorrow from the football club regarding the stadium and the options that are there? Let me know if there are any members in the chat, if there's any season ticket holders in there as well that are going to be answering that call from Gary Neville and the task force on Manchester United's decision whether to keep Old Trafford or completely demolish it. Greg is a member. So we are going to get plenty. There's plenty in there. I can see Tom and Andrew. I've seen you both at the football, so I know you are. Neil says, Erik Ten Hag talks about overloading players. He brought on Fernandes at 60 minutes mark in a game that was over. I get it, but Bruno getting 60 minutes off is still big for Ten Hag and still big for United. So, yeah, I think it's still a rest. Right, that's it, everybody. We have rounded everything up. All of Tanar's comments, the look ahead. We are going to be doing more of that, obviously, tomorrow, with it being the day before the game. Thank you, everybody. It is early content. I know. I appreciate you all joining us earlier for the show. We just want to get through some football tonight. There's plenty of games on, and well, the fixtures are crazy. We're going to be mixing up on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So make sure your bell notification is on. Make sure you've subscribed so you can press that bell notification as well. Please give the video a like. Let's get as many likes in before the live is finished. We're rounding that up now, so like it on the way out. Really appreciate you all. Thanks for joining us, everybody. And we'll see you all bright and early in the morning, 8 o'clock for your Friday morning show. The weekend will be here. Cheers, everybody. Have a fantastic evening, and I'll see you all tomorrow.